Donald Trump has delayed stimulus checks to millions of Americans in an effort to ensure that his signature is on those checks. Now, there are two ways in which Americans will receive the stimulus money that was granted to them by Congress. One way, of course, is through direct deposits. Some Americans have already seen that in their bank accounts today. The only way that you'll get the direct deposit is if you shared that type of information when you filed your taxes with the IRS. However, if you did not, you're likely going to have a check mailed to you. Some of them will be mailed to Americans as early as next week. But keep in mind that the checks were delayed. They were delayed several days because Donald Trump insisted on having his signature on those checks. Now, I think that it's important to have a political strategy discussion about this. But before we do so, let me give you the details on what's happening. So the Washington Post reported that the unprecedented decision means that when recipients open the $1,200 paper checks the IRS is scheduled to begin sending to 70 million Americans in coming days, President Donald J. Trump will appear on the left side of the payment. This has never happened before. This is unprecedented. So there have been various examples of stimulus checks mailed to Americans, happened during the Bush administration, happened during the Obama administration, but they did not politicize it the way that Trump is. And obviously, Trump wants the brownie points because he wants to get reelected. When people see the stimulus money, they want to associate it with Trump. It'll be the first time a president's name appears on an IRS disbursement, whether a routine refund or one of a handful of checks the government has issued to taxpayers in recent decades, either to stimulate a down economy or share the dividends of a strong one. So, John, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Of course, this is a narcissistic move. Of course, he's exploiting this for political gain. But do you think it'll work?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'll give you my thoughts. You're probably hearing my dog's thoughts. He's not happy about it. He's barking outside. He's trying to participate in the howl that people are doing, but he's not even doing it at the right time. In terms of the checks, what I think is pretty amazing. That's really getting annoying. What I think is amazing is, do you recall not too many years ago when the right-wing position was that Obama was giving everyone phones to win their support, and every Democratic candidate was promising free stuff to get their support, just buying people off. So this is stimulus that's much needed, that has effectively nothing to do with Donald Trump, but he wants you to believe that he's the one that's providing it to you, which under one condition I would be perfectly happy with. He is, after all, a billionaire. Feel free to shell out some of your own money to these people, many of whom are voters, devoted fans of yours that could desperately need the help. Feel free to send Trump checks. Cut $1,000 checks to people and start sending them to random Americans if you want the support. Barring that, this isn't your goddamn money, so you don't get to put your name on it, okay? It doesn't have anything to do with you. As I said earlier today on TDR, if it hadn't been in the stimulus bill that these checks were cut, do you think that Trump would have vetoed it and insisted that the American people get relief? Does anyone believe that that would have happened? Does anyone believe that he was pushing behind the scenes for the checks to be larger? Or maybe the fact that because they're just one-time payments, which are going to be wholly inadequate to deal with the shortfall that most people are going to have economically, the millions that go unemployed literally every week this around now. Does anyone think that he was pushing for them to be recurring, that every month we should get checks of this sort? No, he had nothing whatsoever to do with this, less than most politicians. Their names aren't on it. His name shouldn't be on it either.
So I absolutely agree with you. And I totally forgot about the Obama phone. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's a perfect example of the type of hypocrisy that we see from the Republican Party. But it's what we've become used to. Of course, they're hypocrites. Of course, they're going to criticize Obama or the Democrats of one thing and then turn around and do something even worse than what they're accusing the Democrats of. And so I think that a lot of this has to do with messaging. And I think it's really, really important for Democrats to drive home the point that their checks, Americans and the stimulus money that they desperately need, was delayed because they had to put a system in place to ensure that Donald Trump's signature was on those checks for political purposes. But they're losing the messaging war as of today, because I've been paying close attention to how the media has covered this story. And of course, what do you think the Trump administration is going to say? They're going to argue that, no, actually, actually, you guys were expecting these checks to get to you 5 months from now, but you're going to start seeing them next week. So we got them to you early, right? And so instead of, maybe digging into that argument and seeing whether or not there's some accuracy to it, what we're seeing from so-called journalists in the mainstream press is, oh, well, Democrats are saying this, the checks are delayed, but the Trump administration is saying that. Anyway, Trump's signature is going to be on those checks. Let's move on to our next story. And so I actually do think that this is going to end up being politically advantageous to Trump because there is an emotional connection to that money, right? People are desperate right now. They need it. And if they see his name on there, they're going to associate that economic relief with Donald Trump, even though, as you mentioned, and you're absolutely right, he and the Republicans fought tooth and nail to destroy any real economic relief for average Americans in that legislation, including trying to destroy what Democrats did luckily succeed in, which is providing a more robust unemployment insurance program.
Yeah, and what? It's been a couple weeks since they passed that. What have they been doing lately? Is there anything about to be passed? Is Trump must be pushing for it because again, he loves these stimulus checks, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you're right. Republicans haven't proposed anything. In fact, Mitch McConnell has fought against a phase 4 stimulus, which was proposed by Nancy Pelosi. One other thing that we're seeing from Congress right now, and I actually think this is a great solution, and I wish it would get more attention. Representative Ro Khanna and Tim Ryan are proposing $2,000 per month for the next 6 months. So Americans can basically have some income to fall back on in the middle of this pandemic. And they want to continue providing this economic relief to Americans until our economy is back to where it was before the pandemic. So it could actually extend past 6 months. So we're seeing some proposals, some good proposals coming from Democrats in Congress. They need to keep fighting for these proposals to pass, but they are being fought against by the Republicans.
Yeah, we can disagree about the amount. I know Bernie was saying more than $2,000 per month. I don't remember exactly how months it was going to be for, but yeah. And look, if your concern is that the economy is falling apart, people won't be buying. That's what the Republicans are saying. They're willing to kill countless people because of that fear. Okay, then put money in the hands of the people who are going to spend it to survive in the meantime. That seems like a great way to stimulate the economy without producing a massive pile of unnecessary corpses.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.